just like right here.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Try to
3, 2, 1.
action.
Welcome, Drew. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Nathan. How about yourself?
Are you prepared to see how you actually talk?
To see how I talk?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand that.
Have you ever seen yourself recorded before?
Oh, you mean watch myself? No. Yeah, I have. Little short videos here and there. Nothing recent. So it'll be interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure I will hate it.
It's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's lots of things that I'm curious to ask you. Okay.
Yeah, I've got some questions for you too.
Do you want to start?
No, that's okay.
Yeah, called your bluff. Exactly. Some of them are related to, your children. You're a father. That's a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've asked you a bunch of things about that before, but there's always more.
Yeah.
I don't know. You also think you have theories about life?
One or
I'm
two.
curious to hear. One
Maybe.
or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, let's see. Logan is he 1 yet? Yeah, he's 1.
He is 1.
Yeah, because you have a second child. That
we
would
do
have
have
been
a
rough.
second child. Yep. He'll be 2 end of November.
Mm-hmm. Are you doing a good job, or if you gave yourself a grade?
If I gave
B.
myself a grade, what is this over all parents of the course of history, or is there some scale you're looking at here, or just
It's your scale.
it's my scale? All right. Yeah, I'd give myself a C plus. C
plus.
high C, right? Probably in the average territory, and that's
Just average, do you think?
well, I don't have a clear understanding of what this scale is, but
Okay, we'll say over all parents. I feel like most parents are pretty terrible.
well, in that case, B minus.
Okay.
Yeah, just above average. No,
What's
I mean,
pulling you down?
I think you try to do the best that you can, right, or what you know.
Mm-hmm.
But we're all limited by different things, by different views that we have, or different biases that we've collected over the years. I guess we're all most familiar with our own parents, their style of parenting, or if we were spent time around our friends' parents or something like that. And so that's kind of really the baseline I think most people have, right? It's what they know. And so they try to base that off of, well, do I think that my parents did a good job or a bad job? And then kind of go from there. I think there's some good and bad that comes from that. But at the end of the day, it's just taking the things that you know about the world and how life is supposed to work, and then applying that to raising your children. I guess is a very
it's a very vague answer.
Yeah.
How do you think,
a vague
like,
question,
if you
though, so.
had become a father in college or something, were you that different of a person? Would you raise your child differently than, like, let's say after what was it, the Navy?
I'm sorry.
No, Air Guard.
Yes.
Like,
After my time with the Air Guard, do you think that?
yeah.
Are you asking if that made a difference? I don't know if that specifically. I mean, I'm sure there's impact there because it was such a long period of time. I guess I would say yes. Like, I think there is a difference. Just like if I had a kid 5 years from now or 10 years from now, I would be a different person then than I am today. Maybe I hold on to some of the core traits that make me, but we learn and grow. And
You said Mimi. It was a little bit funny.
I said Mimi.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you say you try to take the things that are good from your parents and leave the bad. But if I think about the way that most people describe their childhood, it's usually just the complaints, right?
Sure.
Usually
that's the interesting parts, right?
Yeah, the interesting parts. I don't know. Did you go through a conscious process of like, let me try to find the good and, rid myself of the bad? Did you like psychoanalyze yourself after you kind of left your own childhood and before starting someone else's childhood, namely Logan?
Man, I probably should have. I don't think I necessarily did. I think I took a couple things that stood out to me as either, I'm not going to go into it. Basically, things I thought that were, good, and kind of stuck with those, and things I thought that I knew I more than I just didn't like. Like I feel like it didn't help anything. There was no benefit to it. Maybe there was some because we all have faults. There may be some faults that with my parent style of parenting, at least from my perspective, and I could be wrong, but and just focus on not doing those things. But at the same time, I think it's at least, Logan's like 20, 21 months old. It's sort of a progression too. So obviously we're parenting him differently now than we were a year ago, before he could move or talk or anything on his own. And I'm sure, it's gonna be different 6 months from now. So it's sort of as he grows, we're gonna have to sort of adapt our style.
Well, the
of
first
parenting.
child you just kind of screw up, and then you've learned your lesson. The second one you can get a little bit better.
That's the plan. That's why you have to have more than one.
Yeah, that's why you're so messed up too.
Yes,
Annie
being the oldest
made it out a lot better.
Yeah, you should have had her here.
Eventually,
yeah.
We'll have both of you here.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Did you? I mean, I'm probably not the best. It doesn't make sense for me to advocate for it so much because I only went once, but I feel like therapy is a great thing. The one time I went with Rob Stoppard, he was very nice and insightful.
Is he the one paying for this session?
Yeah, he's your sponsor.
Okay.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really nice. And even though it was like the same things I had thought about for probably years, just an hour of hearing it come out of someone else's mouth, or like you explaining it beginning to end. Basically, what I did was like, I'm just gonna give you a overview of my whole life, and you're probably gonna be able to tell me all of the things that are wrong with me, and that's just what I did. And just in the process of doing that, and he was basically like, were there any points in which you felt some emotion like rise up in you? Which sounded like a very strange question, because I was just like telling a story about my life. But if I thought about it, he was right. It was like, oh, there's that one, for some reason I felt like, I think I just felt really sad about one particular detail of my childhood. And it was slowly, it was like one thing in particular. And that wasn't even like on my radar, but then just the fact that he called it out and we could talk about it, and it was like, mind was blown. So, I would encourage one solid therapy session would do wonders. If you haven't like dove, that's the correct verb.
Dove into dive,
here.
10 minutes in, already recommending therapy. Wonderful.
Yeah, this is actually the therapy. I'm pretending it's not therapy by recommending therapy.
I get it. That's
there
sneaky.
You go.
That's very sneaky.
But I can tell that you're very respectful of other people, and so you would never want to like throw anyone else under the bus. Like your parents, of course. That's always a really tough one, because your parents it's one of the closest relationships you have, and obviously it affects your life a bunch.
Yeah,
and you want to honor them.
Right, you want to honor them. I feel like there is, regardless of whatever, I think, you know, maybe it wasn't the best. It wasn't by any means a bad childhood, right? Like it was good. It was very good. There was a lot of a sacrifice on their part. And I, you know, I can understand that and see that. And, so yeah, and I think we all do it. It's not that they were, you know, like good or bad parents. I think just in general, we, because that's our frame of reference for parenting. We sort of take that and then just try to fit it into the mold of what we think, you know, good parenting should look like we do with anything else. You know, we take our experiences.
Yes, as a template for the future.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we try to kind of tweak it with our personal settings. So to say.
Yeah, it is kind of infuriating once you step back enough and you realize like everything you know is just based off of these experiences you had.
Right.
Like you said, your frame of reference is just based off of the experience you had as a kid.
Yeah.
And all you can do is take what you saw and then change it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, it's kind of hard to just generate your own concept of what parenting would be like. And it's the same thing in pretty much everything else in life, infuriatingly so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you try to be conscientious of that, right? Like you try to be aware of your own limitations and gaps in knowledge. And so you try to branch out and pull resources, whatever,
mm-hmm.
Read articles online, read books, talk to friends, talk to other people who are parents, doing whatever you're trying to do.
The internet
mostly. Is really, a huge resource. Take for granted.
This is something I noticed recently is like, the site Quora. It's like question and answer site.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And it's like really interesting to see all these stories that people tell about their lives. You have no idea who they are, but it's just like so incredibly honest. It's like an information download unlike anything else you get in normal life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Like, and because it's anonymous, it's just like the most brutally honest stream of consciousness as people go through like marriages, divorces, kids, like all of the things that people experience, think, and never say. You get to like just read it.
Yep.
So yeah, in a way, like the internet I think is going to be teaching our kids the most deep, fundamental lessons about life because of the anonymity it provides. I'm pretty sure I said that correctly.
Sure.
Anemone.
Yeah.
But it's kind of weird too, right? Like just learning from random people on the internet.
It is, yeah. And I'm interested to see how that unfolds as time goes on, because it's so we all operate within circles, or I think it was your groups, your spheres of influence, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously the internet isn't limited to specific regions or culture or any of that. So where you might only get certain information or certain viewpoints or theories from the people within your the realm that you're operating in.
Mm-hmm.
These sites that you're talking about, it's going to be perspectives from all over, and different walks of life, different parts of the world,
mm-hmm.
Totally different cultures.
Yeah. Do you think that's productive, or is that kind of risky? Like in some sense, it's good to open your mind up to advice from people you respect and know personally, right?
Yeah, sure.
And you don't want to just like open up to receive whatever the internet has to give you.
Right. Yeah, I think it could be useful, but like with any information, it's good to have a solid understanding of the background and some context maybe. So like if you're hearing stories about people from different areas, different places, it's good to have an understanding of how life for them operates on a daily basis. What is normal, right? Because I could be reading this story and thinking, wow, this is crazy, but that's not the perspective of the person who wrote it, and maybe you know whatever, it's par for the course. So yeah, I think we can walk away thinking different things, having read the same thing, if we're missing enough information, we don't have the full story, right? Because we're each seeing something from a different perspective, and you're not going to get every little detail about that person's life story, the way they think, how how their family operates, how the whatever social structures of wherever they live.
That's true. I mean, I was more talking about like if you trust them to be a role model. Like advice many times comes in the form of, I made this decision and it worked out great for me. You should do it too. Like, not really raw information, but like, I endorse thinking this way. Like if I were to come to you and say, Drew, you need to follow your heart.
I would completely ignore you because I know you.
Yeah, because you know me. Let's pretend like you respected my opinion and I said, Drew, you need to follow your heart. And then when you went home, you would be thinking about the thing that you need to decide about, and you'd say, I'm going to follow my heart. Whereas you could also go on the internet and read some random person's story that is maybe pretty compelling, or they write in such a way that's compelling, and they say, the opposite, like, don't follow your heart, don't follow your emotions. It is bad. Trust me. This is what happened with my life.
Yeah. Like
that kind of thing, where it's like a little bit more subjective about what principles you should be following in life, or I don't know. I mean, you make a good point about the you don't know the details of people's lives and stuff, and there's context you're missing too. But
yeah, I think I definitely, for me, it would depend on whatever the information or advice was too, because there are people I respect, but at the same time, I think I have a skeptical nature in general. Mm-hmm. So if you told me to follow my heart, I think I would I'd kind of need do some more research on my own to see where you were coming from, if there was anything to back up what you're saying, if someone else could confirm it, that sort of thing, just kind of see if it lines up with what I already know. Yeah, I just have trouble accepting what people tell me just for the sake, for no other reason than because they told me.
Have you ever been? Makes sense. I think no, it makes sense. I'm just trying to see if there's closer. I was trying to see if there's a situation or some decision, so crossroads that you faced where it wasn't a matter of getting more information. It was just you needed to decide how you wanted to live your life, or like some decision that was just based on principle rather than some simple deterministic outcome, and in cases like that, there's massive crowds of people who decide to live their lives differently, right?
Yeah.
Can you think of any time in your life where you
I can't.
Really?
I know that a lot of the stuff that I do is just stuff I do because, like you said, a large crowd of people does it, right? And it seems to work, Like there are some things I just take on faith, like that, the car that I have faith that, manual says I need to change the oil every 8,000 miles, I'll change it every 8,000 miles. It's not worth my time to take the car apart and,
Oh yeah.
figure out how it runs.
But that's a rational decision, right? There's a lot of things where we trust the expertise of others.
Sure. So what I guess give me an example.
Okay, example. Well, raising kids, that's certainly one. Lots of different kind of guiding principles you could choose to follow. Like, this is kind of a trivial one maybe, but I think demonstrates the point of like, do you let your child cry out at night versus do you not? Like culturally, there's going to be two very different answers to that question. Like one is going to say, like, no, I'm going to love my child. They're going to know that I love them. I'm going to answer their crying. And the other one's like, no, you're coddling them. They need to learn to or right. I don't know. Yep. Like what's the right answer? Is there?
Yeah. So I guess we'll carry that example out.
It's kind of a boring one. I should have thought of it better.
You should have, but that's on you.
But fine,
well, I guess, is there any substantiating evidence one way or the other? Because I feel like if there was, we would know, right? Like it would just be clearly known. No, don't let them cry out because it will, severely mess them up as a child, whatever. But it in those cases, I feel like it just comes down to almost, I don't want to, I'm going to water it down to basically it's a personal preference kind of thing, right? Like if you hear the child crying out, some people are going to be more prone to, they're going to feel bad. They're not going to want their, child to be sad, and they're going to comfort the child. Some people are, going to be really tired, not want to get out of bed and just go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And so there's, and maybe there are some people that, are tired, want to go back to bed, but get up because they think that it's the right thing to do. I feel like in that type of situation, I'd need to see something. I think if it was very evident that there was a right and a wrong choice, that we would know by now. Maybe not. Maybe there haven't been enough experimental studies done on small children. Maybe it is something we can find out. I just feel like for stuff like that, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I would go in and see if the child's okay if I felt bad, and maybe if I didn't feel bad, I wouldn't. I honestly don't know though if it actually has an effect on I haven't seen enough. I haven't really looked, to be honest.
Yeah,
one way or another.
Maybe there's like a couple studies, but the nature of humans is pretty, I don't know. It's hard to deduce, like run an experiment and actually control all of the variables. Like in a good experiment, there is one variable. And you can kind of maybe, I don't know, you really can't do that with people too well.
It's hard, because everyone's different. That's so hard.
Yeah. And the results themselves that you're trying to achieve are subjective. Like, is it a good thing for a child to grow up and be stoic and strong, or is it a good thing for them to be sensitive and caring?
Right. What's the goal you're looking for, and is there a right or wrong?
Yeah, in the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it even tougher. I don't know, but you're figuring all this out.
Sure.
Do you have other people that you can talk to about parenting that you like? I know there's the template you have from your parents, and there's things you want to tweak and change. Mm-hmm. Is there other? Because that's the beauty of consciousness and the imagination, is that you have more than your own experience. You can, think and maybe try to look at other examples and use them as templates to get all of the other templates.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you do that with people?
I do, very intentionally. For no other reason than I know that I don't have anywhere near close to all the answers. So yeah,
you are pretty dumb.
Yes, you are not wrong. Yeah, I reach out. I have some people that have some kids around the same age, that it's very interesting to talk to, because they're going through the same thing, right? And so it's interesting to see how they're seeing it, how they're coming at it, right? But then also just people who, if you're on the other side, right? Their kids are much, much older than mine, or not even in the house anymore. Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like a lot of times they're more just, it'll be fine, it'll be fine at this stage. And I think that's just because it's been so long, or there's so much that just comes up later in life, right? Like during the preteen and teenage years, that everything may just seem insignificant during the toddler stages.
Just wait.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's their mentality. Just you wait until.
I mean, in a sense, yeah, they're not wrong, right?
Oh, absolutely not. But you don't know any better, right? So I'm frantically looking around for answers that 10 years from now I'm probably gonna be like, yeah, it doesn't matter. But at the same time, I think it's good to be prepared and to kind of try to figure this stuff out as you go along. It would have been better if I was a little more prepared, but hey,
yeah,
better late than
who's
never.
prepared to have children, really? Yeah,
there's only so much preparation you can do.
Yeah. It does seem like, I mean, Sharon and I actually were talking about trying to imagine what it would be like to have a kid who ended up having some severe mental disorder or something, and just like that, your whole life is on a very different track. Maybe they'll be living with you or like in a side home, forever, their whole life.
I feel like I'm not even qualified to comment on. Yeah, that just. Not ever. God bless them.
Everyone.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, in that particular, it's kind of just like having kids to the extreme, in the sense that I feel like if that happens to you, then you just have to kind of be along for the ride, in a sense. Like, whatever plans you had for life, you just have to be like really flexible, really roll with the punches, and just appreciate whatever journey you end up being on.
Yeah.
And in that sense, in that case, it's like it's that to the extreme.
Absolutely. Yeah, just having kids, it's sort of a.
But yeah, having kids at all is kind of that
same thing. But that is just a very much more extreme version, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's tough. Like, I don't know if there's anything else that really does that to you, at least for the common person. That, I mean, a lot of people would consider like a quote unquote derailment of their life as a bad thing. Excuse me, jeez. And in many ways, yeah, sure, that's inconvenient. But such is life, right? I don't know, you're here, and there's a near infinite number of paths you could take, and life gives you one of them, and you just have to appreciate for what it is. So I feel like eventually we have to learn that lesson, even though we might look at someone's life who, I don't know, it appears derailed completely.
And it's interesting that the way you phrase it too. I feel like that's a rather, and I could be wrong too, right? But it seems like it would be a rather new notion, where we think about our lives in that sense, where it's, for so long, thousands of years, whatever, people are just, they're living to live, just to stay alive and get through to the next year. But now we grow up, and, our whole lives are planned out. We have things we're going to do, and we have plans, and seeing it that way. Before, you needed children just to survive, right? To help you, whatever, work the farm, whatever trade, and then someone to take care of you when you get old and aren't able to. Now it's I don't know, it's almost like we have different reasons for having kids now, almost, right? Like it's not for the sole purpose of survival. It's more of a I don't know. You might almost look at it like a social experiment or a.
Well, it's a lot of it is. I think it's your somatic. Your somatic genes are the ones that are concerned about passing on your genetic code rather than just preserving you as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
So like, this is another thing in that same conversation Sharon and I were talking about is why do people have kids? And I think genuinely it's not a rational decision for the benefit of the individual. It's the part of your makeup that
and you're talking specifically about, I'm sorry, when people are intentionally trying to have kids, correct?
Just in any case where someone does have a kid. So sometimes that's just because people want to have sex and it's a complete quote unquote accident.
Quote unquote.
I mean, it's kind of an accident, but it's also like these two people had a really strong drive to have sex and then they procreated. So like, is that an accident or was that your body deciding to have kids for you? Right.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So there's, and I think like to some degree this happens even with, you know, like that's one extreme of that being a quote unquote unconscious decision. But your mind and like, you know, hormones basically try to convince you to have kids, not rationally, like, oh, this would be so good for you as an individual. You just feel like you want to have kids.
Yeah.
You just have an urge, you know, it's part of your makeup, that somatic motivation to continue passing on your genes that's like compels you to do it. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's really, it's kind of funny. And then that just blurs slowly into someone who really carefully thinks about having kids and then chooses to do it. But it's just like a spectrum.
No, I do understand what you mean. There is definitely, like most people have a pretty good idea of whether or not they want to or do not want to have kids. And yeah, it usually isn't I want to have kids because of XYZ benefit, right?
It'll get me
It's
more
just,
money.
yeah, right, exactly, yeah.
Or, yeah, pleasure or something. I don't know.
I don't know if it ever gets you more money. Less money, maybe.
Maybe. Certainly. 100% chance. I don't know where I just like I took the football and I ran away. I can't remember what you were talking about.
You took that and you scored a touchdown. Good job.
Yeah. Yeah, your soma, maybe it's your soma and your germ or something. And the germ is the thing that cares about you. I think that's the term for it.
You can't just make up words.
This is a real thing.
Sure it is.
I didn't make it up.
I'll take your word for it. And then I'm going to go confirm your word.
Yeah.
With Sharon.
No, it's just someone on the internet.
Some random person.
Yeah.
See what Reddit has to say.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, so you laughed when I said, you know, someone accidentally having kids is not really an accident because it's basically your body's choosing to do an act that procreates.
Well, you were saying it's not an accident, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know. I don't know if it's so much if just in the back of your mind, you're really, I want to have a kid, or if it's just, you just want to have sex.
Well, that's it. You want to do the thing that makes children.
Right. But that doesn't mean you're I think the act of having the child may have probably an accident in that case. but yeah, the act of making the child was not an accident, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you are living entirely in your conscious mind. I'm talking about the
Where
whole.
are you living, Nathan?
I'm looking at a human being as the full system.
Okay.
Was it an accident that the human had a child? Was it an accident that the conscious, maybe the soul or the consciousness had a child? Maybe. Was it an accident that the whole person had a child?
How do you define accident?
I don't know. Maybe that was something that was unintentional.
Sure.
Not supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm. So maybe there's a dichotomy in the relationship of this whole human that you're looking at. Like,
oh yeah,
part of them wants to have a kid, and then part of them is
irrational thinking, consciousness.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then is it an accident if intentional for one side of the human, but not the other side of the same human? How does that work? Is it like 0 and 1 multiplied together makes a 0, or?
Well, it depends. So some people, their conscious self is stronger
Mm-hmm.
than their unconscious impulses, right? And those are the people who don't end up having kids randomly. The other people, that urge wins, right? The strength of, so they're at odds with each other, but yeah, you just add them together. Whichever force is stronger, that's the outcome.
So what if a person has sex? I can't believe we're on this topic. What if a person has sex but makes the conscious decision to use protection?
Oh, those are tricky guys right there, because they
okay, so you're
they beat the system.
You're specifically talking. Oh man! All right, I'm glad we
see. Nature is mad at those guys. It's like, no, the purpose of this is to make children. What are you doing?
Doesn't make sense.
You idiot. Yeah. That's contraception that changed a lot.
I think there would still be kids even if sex wasn't enjoyable.
Why do you say that?
Because of what you were saying. Because of that innate desire. What do you call it? The germ.
The soma,
I
believe, is the thing that cares about your descendants.
Cares about what?
Your descendants.
Your descendants.
Your genes.
All right.
Passing down.
So my soma wants to have kids, right?
Soma. S-O-M-A.
Whatever. Oh man, you're really killing me with these
Sorry.
words. All right. So part of me wants to have a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have a kid, right?
It depends. If you take all the forces and urges in your whole being, you add them up, and the thing that wants to have a kid wins, then that is what you will do.
Oh man, see, I don't know that my sex drive is what ended up getting me a kid. I think there was definitely a conscious planning effort there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I'm not saying
that
like a physical sex drive is the only thing that compels people to have kids. I think kids are wonderful, amazing things that we should. Okay. We should have. Yeah.
All right, I'm glad that you think that.
But that's the thing, is your conscious self was on board with the idea, right?
I see what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. On the same page now.
Okay, good. See, that wasn't too scary.
No, maybe drawn out a little more, but.
Are you gonna have any more? You think? Got 2
kids.
Yeah.
Not
7
sure yet. 7. Phew, man. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe 1 or 2 more. Maybe not. Sort of up in the air at this point. We'll see.
We'll see how this goes.
Exactly. Yeah. Not sure.
Yeah, we don't really know either.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely something that you need to be convinced of that you want to do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's not something you jump in, one foot in, one foot out. Maybe, sure, why not? Let's
What's the South Park meme? Like, you're not gonna have a good time.
You are not gonna have a good time doing this. It has its rewarding moments though, that I didn't expect. Right, like just in general. I'm not a kids person. That sounds terrible, but I don't hate them. It's not my cup of tea. I don't get it. They're not very intelligent. You can't really have a conversation with them. I don't know. I just didn't get it. And maybe to an extent I still don't, but it's very different with your own kid. It's weird. I can sit there and watch him play with the same set of trains, no track. He just puts these trains down. They've got these little magnetic connectors. He connects it all together, and then he just tosses it off the table. Yeah. And he goes and picks them back up, puts them all back together, and just watching him do that, watching him learn, and watching him figure out how to do something, watching him figure out the difference between the magnetic poles on the magnets, and then figure out, I got to switch it around to get it to connect there. And it's just, I don't know how to describe it.
I mean, it's you, right?
Maybe not even that though. It's just this this being. It's got to be that it's come from me too, because it probably watching some other kid I would not care. But so that definitely has a piece in it. But just it's fascinating to watch this being just that did not know how to do something without any prompting, just figure out and learn and create and grow all on his own.
Yeah, I mean, humans start out pretty mushy and like useless, but they can learn a lot. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
it really is, and it's fun to watch.
It is.
This is also probably something mean, but I like a good smart kid, because they're more fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's like watching intelligence grow and watching someone learn is like awesome.
That's the thing too. Like, so I think, cool. My kid is super smart because I'm seeing him learn all these things that he didn't know how to do before. But again, I have no frame of reference. He could be a dummy for all I know.
Right? You have no frame of reference.
Not really. Not for kids. No.
Yeah. Well, guys don't babysit.
No, I think I babysat once in my life, and then never again. Maybe it was that one instance that scarred me, but no, I really don't spend any time around kids at all.
Yeah.
And I haven't, other than when I was a kid around other kids, but not really in my adult life. So I really don't have any frame of reference. I remember freaking out because they kept saying, they start walking when they're one, and he turned one and he wasn't walking. And I thought, is there something wrong with him? What's going on here? You guys said when he's, it could take a little longer. What does that mean? Is he a slow one? Like, why is it taking him longer? Like, between 1 and, 18, whatever, 18 months.
18 years.
18 years. God. Yeah, so it's stuff like that. You don't, but then they start picking it up and they start going with it. And, but you're like, well, I don't know. They say 12 months, but he didn't start to walk until 14 months. So where is he on this curve? But it's great. Yeah, I think he's brilliant. Just watching him, all the things he's figuring out, and I can tell him things, and I have no expectation that he's going to understand what I say, right? But like, he walks up to me with something, like he pulled a lint roller out of somewhere that he wasn't supposed to. He walks up to me. I said, go put that back where you found it. And he walks right back to the cabinet where he found it and puts it right back where he pulled it out of. And man, you understood that? You understood that as a sentence? You put the whole concept together. That's really cool. But then like single words, you don't understand. That's confusing. Like I still can't get him to, he calls trucks cars. He calls everything that has 4 wheels a car. Mm-hmm. And I tried to explain him the difference. And no, that's beyond him.
Is a subset of the car.
That's apparently what he thinks. But I can tell him to go put the lint roller back in the closet where he got it, and he knows exactly what to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's yeah, their brain's a sponge, and it's just like soaking up all these experiences, and the way that they get pieced together and the way they learn is kind of it's not a straight line, right? It's just like a bunch of data, and then they start establishing those patterns. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Are you interested in like neural networking at all, like with computers? No.
Sure. I don't have a lot of familiarity on the topic, okay, but yeah, sounds cool.
Yeah, I've been saying I wanted to like get more into machine learning for 3 years, and I haven't.
Is that essentially what it is? Machine learning, AI sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that like neural networks is not the only form of machine learning, but in fact, I'm almost positive that's the case. But it's one form of it, and I think that there's a lot of similarities to how the human brain functions and how these neural networks function, because it's just you feed it a ton of training data, and then there's kind of you train the model. You basically like slap its hand when it gets the answer wrong, and then it back propagates, trains itself to get the answer a little bit more correct next time, and then through all of this massive data set that you have to provide to it, then it slowly gets closer and closer to knowing how to parse new data, and it's fascinating to me because I feel like it gives some insight into how humans learn, and it's actually like has had a big impact on like my philosophy of things too,
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like it would in a sense be more efficient than human learning, because you really only have to slap its hand once to tell it that answer is not correct, whereas a human maybe try the same answer that they know is wrong again and again and again, but then at the same time I think you lose a bit of the like the creative thinking, because in a sense you could say it's creative, but it's guided really by somebody else's hand. It's not genuinely original, right?
Well, it's tough to compare. I feel like you have to be careful, because like for a human, I don't know there's like maybe trillions of neurons, and in most of these examples there's just I don't know, a few hundred or something, or maybe even a few thousand, tens of thousands. And so the scale is like just massively different. The human is like it's taking up orders of magnitude more data and learning different things. Like it's learning how to manipulate objects in 3D space, just based off of images and also sensory data and like.
Yeah, I understand. I feel like though, regardless of the task it's given, at the end of the process, it's still a human telling the machine whether the results were right or wrong. Mm-hmm. Whereas with a human, they could disagree with you. Like you could tell me, you could give me a project, right? Mm-hmm. Say, make this table. I could make the table, and you're like, no, Drew, that's wrong. And I could say, no, you're wrong. This table is right. I'm not doing it again. Something like that, right? Like, and that's, I think you get a lot of discovery out of that too. Like, throughout history, different people who were told one thing, like, the sun rotates around the earth, or the earth is flat, and stuff like that. It was someone who challenged.
Well, that one's true.
Yes, both of those are true, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really thought about it at a high level. I was more thinking about like gravity. Like you couldn't disagree with gravity. As soon as you have an experience, like if my model of gravity was wrong and I had the expectation that this would not fall when I dropped it, and then it did fall, then I would learn pretty quickly like to fix my model. So that's kind of the level of learning I was thinking about. But
gotcha.
There's probably something to that. I haven't thought about this at a really high level when you're talking about two people interacting and talking about a problem. Yeah, I'll have to think about that more.
Yeah, it's interesting to digest, though.
Well, one last thing I wanted to pick your brain about is you haven't been in active combat or anything. You know, I feel like that's very different. But you've at least you've been
a fight at scout camp.
You've been in a fight?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It wasn't a real fight.
No.
No.
What happened?
I think I just pushed a guy over a log because he was poking somebody else with a stick or something.
Nice. Sticking up for the little guy.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. You haven't been in active combat besides that one time at camp.
Other than that one time, no.
Other than that one time. But you have been exposed to a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of the American military. I know that the different departments are different. Army versus Navy versus Air Force. I don't know if those are called departments.
Yeah, most people call them branches, but
branches.
Departments. I understand what you mean.
I'm sure they have their own culture and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
But you at least have some insight into that. Do you feel like you have any hints for like what is happening in America? Like, is there some side of human nature that's being brought to the stage at this point, or I don't know, like what might be potential solutions for I don't know. I mean, there's several very deep problems that need to be solved before well, I don't know, before nothing, but several deep problems that could be solved, and it would be great.
And then everything would be perfect.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't. That's kind of why I stopped before. Well, no, it's
before we find more problems that we have to solve. Yeah. No, I think I have probably just about as much information as you, or probably honestly less, knowing you.
You know how to fix radios, though.
I know how to fix radios. Yeah. And into our, as far as our current state of affairs. No, it's interesting that you think I would, though. There's a lot of people that similar mindset where they ask, hey, what's going to happen next? What's happening with the quarantine and the lockdown? I have no idea. They don't tell me anything.
The lizard people don't communicate to you directly, so
no, yeah,
the ones who are really in charge. Yeah,
right. Yeah, the president doesn't answer my calls anymore, so no. Yeah, it's, you'd think maybe we would. But and again, too, this is just my very limited scope of experience and understanding with the branch that I'm serving with, right? So different departments, as you would say, different branches, different sectors of military and government have are privy to different levels of information. And they try to keep that on like a need-to-know basis, essentially.
Well, yeah. I was just wondering, like, if you had seen some side of human nature, I guess, even just in training or whatever else, that gave you an instinct about psychology or how people might behave. That's kind of more what I was thinking. But
I wish it did. No, I think that'd be really useful. It's I mean, it's kind of its own culture. I wouldn't say necessarily it gives me any additional insight into like our nation's current condition or potential projections. Other than it just being like I said, it's its own culture. It's kind of cool, and it's. Yeah, it depends. All depends. Different branches, different cultures, different. Whether you're active, guard, or reserve, it's all a different experience. But yeah, I can't say that gives me any additional insight into the human psyche.
Is there anything that it did give you? Is there anything I'm missing because I didn't serve in the military?
Maybe. I mean, I feel like everyone gets something different out of it. For me, it was I don't know. It was almost like I proved something to myself by doing it. It was also it was kind of like a nice safety net. I joined the guard, not active duty, but it was nice just to have that. At the time, I joined when I was in college, so I didn't have another job. I didn't have anything lined up for after school, but this was a good way to get some experience, and have a steady source of income regardless of the amount. It was something, and
so no deep life lessons. This sounds very boring.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, it definitely maybe some discipline.
They didn't have you shoot a dog to really callous your psyche or nothing.
I think I missed that day actually, the dog shooting. Come to think of it, I don't remember that being part of the curriculum. No, for the Air Force, it was a lot of classroom time. I mean, we did have a lot of PT. There was some weapons training, but it just a lot of classroom time, very, very little sleep. They want you to be able to operate at a high level of efficiency, with very little sleep.
Sounds like something Becca should have done then.
Becca should. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Is she gonna listen to this? It definitely gives you perspective though, because once you go through something like that, like the basic training, and even tech school had its moments, but once you go through something like that, there's just so much in life that just feels so much more reasonable, more accomplishable, right? Like coming out of high school, going into college was a big change for me. Like I stayed out of state, out of the state that I grew up in, away from the community that I grew up in. So college itself was just a huge shift and change for me, and it was different, right? There's a lot of things that I had to adapt to, but then basic training was a whole nother story. And that's all your lifelines are gone. You're put in an environment that is designed to break you down and put you in your like your worst condition, that mentally, physically exhaust you, and then just throw a ton at you, and super high expectations.
You didn't have any like Hell Week equivalent, right? That's just
I think that's just the Marines or the SEALs.
Marines, yeah.
I'm not sure which one. Probably got that wrong. No, not really. We had it was called a Beast Week. Where they basically sent us out into the desert in some tents, and we had MREs. We manned checkpoints and had some CBRNE training. But that was it. I would not compare it to a Hell Week. But yeah, it was not the most brutal of trainings, but it was still out of my comfort zone, right? Like it was still something that I wasn't used to. I wasn't mentally prepared for. And so it really pushed me. And I think that experience was really good for me, right? Regardless of whether you get it in the military or somewhere else, but just something that really pushes you way out of your comfort zone, something what you're used to. And everything else in life just sort of seems so much simpler, so much easier in perspective, because it's, like, oh, well, nothing's going to be as hard as that, regardless of whether or not it was actually truly difficult or not. It was the hardest thing for me at the time that I had experienced. And so coming out of that, it was just it's a good confidence booster. Learned a lot of handy skills.
You can tie knots.
I can tie knots. I can roll socks, fold shirts. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's... I kind of need something like that. Well, maybe not something like that exactly, but I benefit from having someone yell at me, basically, as evidenced by our workouts, when
Right.
it was very
Right.
helpful to have Thane yelling at me.
Yeah, it helps.
I'm just
an external motivator.
lazy. And I don't want to be, but I'm so lazy. I will... and yeah, like, again, my conscious mind does not want to be, but the rest of me is so lazy. And
yeah, and it's almost like and obviously this does not apply to all situations, but people in our specific, I guess you would say, scenarios where you don't have to kill yourself every day to get by, right? Like I can put forth a modicum of effort on a daily basis and be fine, if that makes sense. Like I'm not like at my wit's end at the end of every day, and I feel like I'm not going to make it.
yeah, our lives are pretty easy.
Yes, we have very comfortable lives for whatever reason, and that, you know, because of that we have that staleness almost.
Yeah,
It's almost like you know, you wish there was a
war to fight in.
Something. I mean, you do and you don't, but you definitely grow from those things and learn a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sleepy, so we can wrap this up soon, but I think there is something weird happening to just males, because a lot of, I don't know, I think a lot of the innate psychology is like, it feels good to have a challenge / enemy or something, like
Some
to be
adversity
fighting.
to rise
Adversity.
up to. Yeah.
That's a proper word.
Yeah, and I think in a sense we all do have that. It's you know,
But
it's not the
not
same for
really.
everyone. Perhaps even if it's just overcoming your own lack of motivation or your own lethargy, right? It doesn't sound as glamorous or whatever, but it's still something that, you know, you could be focusing your efforts on.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like eating a graham cracker, pretending like you're eating a cake, I guess. I don't know. Is it?
No,
Yeah.
I do understand what you're saying, though. It's definitely I just don't know how to put it into words, but yeah, having that external motivator.
Yeah, and soon it might, you know, I think that's like, men get really depressed when they don't have work, right?
Yeah,
That's kind of the
don't
same.
have a purpose.
Similar thing going on there. Yeah, that's rough. We talked about this a while ago in wherever it was, by your house, about how everyone's going to lose their job to robots. That's why I thought UBI was
we were
idea.
speculating.
What is that restaurant? I don't know. It's not McGlynn's. Maybe it is.
I think it was.
Maybe it was. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen now. I mean, it's funny because, I don't know. It's, yeah, like the future is just sped up, by the Rona shutting down. A lot of routines.
A lot of automated processes.
Yeah.
Sort of force people into that more advanced state that maybe they were preparing for 5-10 years out is now sort of required.
Yeah. And I think, like, the past few years, I just kind of realized how much of the world is, how much friction there is in the world, like when it comes to just people's lives and businesses and like employees. Like, it's not like these markets produce optimal systems without any friction. Like at every moment, the market is updating the whole economy to make it perfectly meeting everyone's needs, or maximizing capital, producing the best products.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is just like this friction of like, oh yeah, this business has had this employee for 20 years and they're not really going to fire him, just cause.
Yeah.
And like you just take that and multiply it by like a few 100 million times, and there's just like a ton of friction in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really realize that that's the case until something like the virus comes and just shakes it up really violently, and all that friction is gone, and the future just speeds up by like a decade. And I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's
I think that the economy is actually going to progress just fine, like
mm-hmm.
in terms of producing things.
Yeah, I think a lot of the infrastructure is already in place
Mm-hmm.
to keep that up and running. I mean, we've seen that just with Amazon and DoorDash, and you can, stuff that was, you couldn't get delivered before. Now suddenly everything is delivery,
Mm-hmm.
food and supplies. And it's
Right.
like, really, a week ago you said you couldn't deliver this. Now all of a sudden it's delivery only.
Yeah.
It's just interesting how everyone has just had to very quickly adapt.
Mm. And they did.
Yeah.
And the only problem is there's just a bunch of people falling out the bottom.
Yeah. It's and I
So
think
no
that
one's
was
there to
always
care about them anymore.
kind of the problem with the transition, right? It's how do you do this in a way and still support, because you're going to have a lot of job losses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that, what's the plan for transitioning these positions, right? Because you gotta have somewhere for these people to go.
Yeah. I mean, fundamentally, markets don't value human life.
But what feeds the market?
The souls of the innocent. I don't know. What do you mean, what feeds the market?
Not sure where I was going with that.
Anyways,
moving on.
Hour and 10 minutes. I'm pretty sleepy. This tea has made me sleepy.
What kind of tea are you drinking?
Scotch tea.
Scotch tea. Oh, wonder why.
Thanks for dropping by. We'll have David and Thane come by next time. They won't be such losers.
Yeah, I know. What are they doing? Something way better, like sleeping or something?
Something I'd rather be doing right now. Yeah, no, it was fun.
Yeah, it's good to have you here.
Did you think of the questions you had for me, Drew?
Oh man, so many questions that I have for you.
Just fire off one.
So why do you drink tea out of a what is that, a stein?
Glass?
Sure.
Oh, a stein. Like something for beer, right? Is that what that's called?
Cup with a handle is what I would think.
Handles, they're great for hands. You see that? That's the reason.
Coffee cups and tea cups, I guess they're called.
Mm-hmm.
Don't they also have handles?
Yeah, the reason why I like this cup is it's such a big cup. It can hold so much
your
liquid.
tea capacity.
Exactly.
Very good.
And now that I'm keeping track of my water intake with this Fitbit, I need to make sure I'm consuming a lot of liquids.
You're counting the ounces.
Yeah, I am. I'm up to, 48 or something?
How long do you think that'll last?
I think it'll work for me. I don't mind drinking water.
Not the drinking the water.
46 ounces.
Tracking the ounces.
Oh, tracking
until
them?
you get to a spot where you're consistently drinking, the amount that you should every day. Or you think you're going to continue to?
Oh, I don't know. Depends on how happy it makes my brain to see a little goal get checked off on the app.
Crazy how happy that makes us, right? Just to see a little notification on our watch or our phone that says we accomplished something, no matter how menial it is. My watch gives me a thumbs up every time I walk 250 steps in an hour.
I know. It's like, I realized today how little that really is. It's like to the kitchen and back a few times. 3 to be exact. No.
And a doctor could tell us that if we did that every day, we'd live another 10 years. We wouldn't care. But as soon as our watch gives us a thumbs up,
it's so different.
That's all we need. We work for those gold stars.
That's so true with me. And I said I'm lazy, and it's so true, because I feel like the only way I can get myself to do anything good, and I mentioned this while we're working out a little bit, is like coat the pill that you're trying to give someone in like a tasty dog treat. You know how you do that for dogs?
Do you like dog treats, Nathan?
Yeah, I realized I didn't specify it was for a dog at first. You know how dogs,
like,
you
dog
give
treats.
them their medicine inside of a treat so they don't know they're taking medicine? That's the only way I can manipulate myself into doing anything healthy or productive. It doesn't matter if I know it's healthy and productive. I need to...
You need the reward. You need something that...
Yeah, like I chose to buy this watch to get me to behave healthier. That doesn't make any sense. If I could choose to buy the watch to make me behave differently, why couldn't I choose to behave differently? It just doesn't work the same, and I don't know.
Because the commercials told you needed the watch, Nathan.
No, it's not the case.
No?
It's genuinely helping me. I mean...
Is it? Or is it because you were told that it would help you?
No, it's genuine. You have one of these.
Oh, I know. It works on me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need the affirmation. I need constant praise 24/7. So you said something interesting. Well, I wasn't really interested, but I'm going to ask you about it anyway.
You're going to pretend like it was.
I'm going to pretend like it was.
Feel better.
Yeah. About how when you're working out, it motivates you to have somebody yelling at you.
Yes.
Now, why is that? Is that because they yell at you and it makes you scared, or is it because you wanna please them, or how does the yelling help, Nathan?
Well, it's a substitute for you yelling at yourself to do something, right?
Would it be the same if you actually yelled at yourself during a workout? Would it have the same effect of someone else?
Probably.
Really?
Probably. I haven't tried that. I could, I suppose. But at the end of the day, you know that you're going to give yourself a break. You know, if you're yelling at yourself, like, do 10 more reps, deep inside you're like, I'm only going to do 5 and I'm going to like be okay with it. But someone else saying, do 10 more. It's not like, I don't know. It's like you're outsourcing that, it's like a third-party regulatory agency, you know? It's like you can't have an organization regulating itself. That's a conflict of interest. You need someone else to do it.
That's so curious as to the underlying. What are you getting out of it? What are you getting out of this person yelling at you? What do you feel?
What do you feel? It kind of reminds me of just like soccer preseason. Like that was pretty rough. That was like a military-esque training period of like,
sure,
that's the bar of me pushing myself physically, of you and a team and the coach who you I don't know, they intimidate you, or I think just a little bit just a little bit of intimidation there.
They hold that position of leadership and authority over you.
Just like, like yelling at you to run more than you want to and do planks and 6 inches, like way longer than you think you could, to the point of failure. And you are like, I'm at the point of failure. I can't do this anymore. And they don't care. And they they keep trying to get you to do it. Like, I don't know. That's very different than you just like I could do a plank until my quote unquote point of failure, until I felt like I couldn't do it anymore, and then I would stop.
Right? Or you just lose the capacity to motivate yourself, right? Like you lose focus because you're, you know, you're whatever, your body's starting to shake, or you're thinking about something else now, and you just sort of, you know, it's in the back of your mind. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the true thing is I would just do it for a little bit and then get bored and not want to do it.
Right.
But even if I was determined enough to go until I thought I couldn't anymore, then I would stop there. But it's so great and different to have someone else push you past what you think you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some profound thing I could say about like someone else having a vision for your life or something that you don't have. Someone else seeing potential that's greater than the potential that you see.
Right.
And forcing you to do it, like calling you out into it, into something that you didn't think you were capable of. You know, it's important to have someone else
to push you. Yeah. And I see at that point, I think for me, it's more, it's like, I'm not doing it for me anymore. Like, I don't care. Right. Like, I want to stop. At the end of the day, yeah, it's for me. But, like at that point, if I'm giving up, but it's somebody else there standing over me, pushing me, whatever, I'm doing it to, you know, for them, because I don't want to, I don't want to look bad. Right. Or I don't want to let them down, or, you know, you know, it's, or, you know, the competitive nature, whatever it is. I don't think it's like, in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do, and maybe in the back of my mind somewhere, I know that it's something that I should do, you know, reach down deep and really push myself. But, at least in the front of my mind, it's, you know, like, no, I want to stop. I want to, you know, I'm done. I'm bored. I'm tired. But then when you have that other person there, or a group of people there to support you, it's like, oh, I got to do this, or I'm letting them down, or, you know, I'm going to get, you know, flack for this for later, whatever. Yeah. It's, yeah, I guess that's what I was sort of curious. Are you still, when there's someone yelling at you, is it still, like, yep, I'm doing this for me, or is it like I'm doing this for them?
No, I mean, I think it's still for me, but for some reason I can do a few more. I don't know why. I mean, you could just give a really hand wavy example of, to say there's a social element to accomplishing things or whatever. Excuse me. And that's true. That's not really explaining what's going on, but there is a social element too.
Sure.
It,
otherwise you just have a recording of yourself. Play it back while you're working out.
Not good enough.
At yourself, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that would work.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of lessons there to be learned. So another thing I want to do is like learn some fighting art or something.
Really? Anything in particular?
Not really. I don't know enough about the different styles of fighting to know which one I would actually like the most. Yeah, I don't know anything about like what's the difference between karate and jiu-jitsu, right? Like, yeah. I don't know, but one of those.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be cool. I think you'd probably think differently about yourself. Carry yourself a little bit differently if not only like you had the crap beat out of you pretty regularly. That's got to be humbling for sure. But also eventually knowing or just feeling physically secure in any situation, I guess. I don't know what that would do to you psychologically. I feel like it would do something.
Sure. Yeah. Even just, you know, you're becoming more familiar with your body, train your body, same as when you train your mind.
Yeah. I do think everyone could stand to be beaten up every once in a while.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You could just make it like a weekly thing, or would this be like a quarterly?
Just randomly, you know, when you least expect it.
Initiated by the government, I'm assuming.
I don't know.
Be like your place of employment would this be one of your benefits that they would cover?
You're welcome. Well, I think I was like in high school when I first had the image of like how great it would be if every once in a while you just got smacked with a folding chair to the point you fell over, just out of nowhere. Just like you're feeling really cocky, you're feeling really good about it yourself, all of a sudden folding chair comes out of nowhere, WWE style, and like takes you out. And
never have I had such a desire to be smacked in the face with a
not me, but
chair.
I also wouldn't mind. Like, I feel like I could be taken down a few notches every once in a while.
Well, yeah, no argument there.
That would be a good thing.
For you specifically.
For me specifically,
Yeah, sure.
for a lot of people.
Sure. Can I be the one with the chair though?
Sure, if you want.
Right.
That would do. Can you imagine all like Donald Trump just like walking around, and all of a sudden, boom, folding chair.
Because it's quarterly smack in the face.
His what?
Quarterly smack in the face.
Quarterly. Yeah, or anyone else. Just
All of us, yeah.
all of us could use one.
That's the best you got. I feel like there's got to be a better way, right? A reality check or some way to humble someone. Maybe just like, stick them in the trunk of a car for a few hours, or smack in the face with a
Publicly.
folding chair publicly.
Yep.
Gosh. All right. Well, I can see you put a lot of thought into this.
I have.
So yeah, why not?
I'm glad I could answer your question. I don't remember what it was.
But the answer is folding chair to the face.
That's the answer.
Fortunately for you, I think this is something that we can realistically accomplish.
Yeah. Can manage it.
Should be able to.
Okay. Drew, do you have any movies that you're working on?
Producing? What are you talking?
Just because you want to plug any of your projects for the large audience that we have.
Oh, for our viewership here?
Yeah. Or just a TV show you like.
Oh, a TV show I like. I've been watching The Expanse recently.
I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah.
You'll make James happy.
What's that?
You'll make James Leonard happy.
Oh, is he into that show?
Yeah, he's into it.
Yeah, it's it's pretty good. Yeah, it's been a while since I've come across a decent TV show. So that's
it.
if you're into sci-fi.
I'm totally not, and I'll never watch it.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. All right. Well, at least you know what you like.
Mm-hmm.
What about yourself?
124. Oh, I don't have anything. This is it. This is what I do.
This is it.
My life.
And then you just watch yourself on repeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Living the dream.
Same time next week.
You mean for the show or for me to be here?
For the show.
Okay, yeah. Tune
Perfect.
in. Same station, same time.
Bye, everyone.